Hey, this is Cool Trains in Montreal, and I'm showing off some new trains today and a new configuration for my buildings on my small N-scale test layout. So here what I have is an interesting railroad, something that I haven't shown before. This is Seaboard System and Chessie System. These two railroads were later combined into the CSX that we see a lot in Montreal today. Those blue locomotives with the yellow used to be much nicer looking, much more interesting looking. They used to have a really nice cat image, and I really enjoy the cat image, as you can tell. And as you can also tell, on a small railroad like this, these short 30-foot hopper cars are a good addition because you can have so many of them. So here what I have is the many different chassis system railroads that were combined into this one holding company, mostly C&O, which is Chesapeake and Ohio, and the Baltimore and Ohio, B&O. And there was also the Western Maryland. I might have a WM here. WM. Western Maryland, which is a smaller railroad, but it was also rolled up into the Chessie system. The Seaboard system is a little different. I'll talk about them in a minute. So this is also an interesting locomotive here. This is an NW2. Now, these are actually very old, and even when Chessie Systems started painting them into this kind of really nice paint scheme, I think most of them just would have retained their B&O, or C&O paint scheme. In this case, the C&O one, there were 41 of them that were built between 1939 and 1949. So these locomotives actually predate World War II, which is very surprising because most people would consider World War II era to be the height of steam locomotives. But some of these EMD NW2 locomotives were built pre-war. And they were actually wrapped up around 1949 with like over 1,000 of them being built. And it's very surprising when I looked it up that there were so many of these locomotives around when a lot of people probably don't, consider them to be a bigger selling model. So a lot of railroads had them, including Canadian National. They had about, 20, I think it said, 25, which is surprising. In any case, these are all gone now, these end cab units. They were very prevalent in the probably the 50s, 60s, 70s. They might have started declining in the 80s, but they were still around, even being found on short line railroads a lot and everything like that, up until probably 2010, and you can probably still see some of them. But they're very hard to find now because of environmental laws. So these older 1,000 horsepower units built pre-war and obviously maintained and upgraded, but still there's so much you can do with a frame and with a locomotive. So after 60 years of service, a lot of them are now gone. But yeah, these are really great because I really like the paint scheme that the Chesapeake in Ohio and the Baltimore and Ohio Chessie System Holding Company chose. This is very much in line with the 1970s. In the 70s era, everything was kind of funky, and it was probably a response to having a coal era kind of railroads. These were black, a lot of dark blue, kind of a very conservative painted locomotive. So what they probably were wanting was a fresh, brand new image. And they really couldn't get something better here, especially with that cat. The cat refers to Chessie, which was during the wartime, they had sleeping cars, and their slogan was that you could fall asleep like a kitten inside those sleeping cars. So it was kind of popular in the, on trains that were running between, say, New York City, I think it was, and the southern cities. In any case, when passenger service ended on these railroads in 1971, I guess the chance was there when they were forming this new company to highlight their old Chessie the cat slogan and their old logo, and roll it up into something neat. And they also have that interesting font too. The Chessie System has its own font. There are people that are preserving that on the internet, and you can get that font even for whatever writing you want to use. Again, it's very 1970s. The whole thing is 1970s retro. So, and another thing that was interesting is the 1970s had a lot of cabooses. These extended vision cabooses were probably the newest ones that they were building at the time. They were still building new cabooses. And Chessie System really went all out with these because they put these nice safety slogans on them. And they painted them all up different colors. They weren't all red. Mostly they were actually yellow to match the locomotives. But they wanted something different. So yeah, these are really cool. These extended vision cabooses. And they even were purple and orange like this one, and yellow and blue. So I have a few of those to actually show eventually. But this one I'm really happy with this one because actually it was broken for a while and I managed to rebuild it after some time to fix the trucks on it now. So it actually runs now. So yeah, and some other things I probably would like to show is that I've changed the configuration of buildings. So I have the commercial version of the DPM building that was here before. And what I did to build this basically was just take 2 of these DPM kits. I took all of the window panels and I built them into one building. And the other building that's more industrial, I took all the backs and sides that had less windows and made that into a building. This one here is the same Concord building that I had before. It's the wedge-shaped building. It's built as the kit was intended, except I painted it differently. And then this building here is a double-sided building. It's got, it's a complete kit bash. It's 2 ends pieces, plus at the bottom, the whole row of windows and everything like that was taken from another bunch of kits and built into a tenement building. And I will show eventually in another video that this building has a storefront, an older storefront like this on one side, and a bigger storefront with other windows on the other side. Yeah, so it's an interesting building. I built it that way so I could have essentially 2 different buildings from just the same one. And that's pretty much it as far as this goes. Lots of 2 and 3 bay hopper cars in the Chessie System. They have the air slide car there, the ACF car, these 2 bay hopper cars. And this one here is a PS2 CD Pullman standard car, and that's the standard length of car. That's a 50-foot hopper car, 3 bay hopper car. And yeah, these are all really interesting, and I really like how I can make like a unit train of Chessie System hopper cars. They're short, so they're perfect. These cars that are short, they're perfect for a small layout. And they're all made by pretty much Atlas and Intermountain. Yeah. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll end this video here because it's gone pretty long, and then I'll have a second video in which I run the NW2 and the little safety caboose and show maybe some other locomotives. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll run the Seaboard System train again. Here it comes. And the Seaboard System is kind of a different animal. It's also a predecessor railroad to CSX. These railroads were more central of Georgia and Seaboard System and Seaboard Coastline, and a lot of southern railroads like the Family Lines all rolled up together in 1982 to become this Seaboard System. And then only 4 years later, everything was rolled up into the CSX. And that was done because they wanted to have the CSX, which was their Wall Street ticker symbol, all over their locomotives. So anytime you see CSX, that's what that CSX is. Chessie System, is still the same. The name is still there. It's in the CSX name that's on the Wall Street. And I really wish that the CSX would actually incorporate that C, the cat in the C, into their new symbol rather than that stupid box on wheels that I've seen all over. To me, it would really honor the heritage of the railroad more, and it would really add a lot of visual interest, and it would really honor that really great symbol. The C with the cat image is, to me, one of the most interesting railroad logos I've ever seen, and I really enjoy them. And I, as you can see, really enjoy the Chessie system as a railroad itself. So you will see a lot of future videos with the Chessie system and Seaboard system, and you will see some of these really nice yellow and red and the dark blue locomotives rolling around, and with these interesting colorful cabooses behind. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe to Cool Trains in Montreal for more content such as this. Have a good day.